Time is 13:13. The place, Manor Park. I am Martin Kurt. I'm on a path. Vulnerability. It's a tricky one. You know, I've been vulnerable. I felt vulnerable. I felt not vulnerable, that's not the right word. I've had difficult emotional times in my life, which probably most of which happened actually before the advent of social media and the projection of this sort of perfect image, at least by the masses. Of course we were advertised the same thing. Still, back then people didn't talk about their issues so much, and it probably would have been easier had I talked about it more with lots of different people, not just confidants. I guess everything is vulnerable, but that's not what we're talking about. I know that's the title, but it's not what we're talking about really. What we're talking about really is opening up. Opening up and not hiding part of ourselves. Sharing part of ourselves which we wouldn't normally share. And being vulnerable, I suppose, in the moment. So to be vulnerable in the moment, well, there's various things I could do. I guess I'm slightly less vulnerable by the fact I'm wearing clothes. If I was running around the woods naked, then I would feel a little bit chilly, and that would be making me a little bit more vulnerable. Of course, I could make life even harder for myself by having to find my own food, not having to go to the shops. I got to reflect back on periods of my life where I felt unhappy and tell you what I learned from them. Let's go back to school. Around the age of 11, 12, I started a new school. I think most people do, where I'm from. My previous school was very different to my new school. My previous school was a very chaotic place, I guess you could say. No one really cared if you were a bit strange. Everyone just having fun, enjoying it. 1 year later, I find myself in a place which there was an element of social hierarchy. People were no longer, or at least, I don't know if it's a transition of time or a transition of place, but people were no longer, there were different rules. People were no longer just having fun and not giving a shit. People were socially aware, becoming socially aware. I've got some steps here, this is cool, look at this. I would say on the scale of social awareness, I was very low down, and I was a bit weird because I wasn't really developing any of those things in my previous school. I was just sort of not worried by the fact that, you know, maybe I didn't have, you know, a great number of friends. It was just no one cared, as I said. Well, let's go down here. I'm trying to go down paths I've never been down to make myself feel a little bit more vulnerable, kind of symbolic. But anyway, I did not know what I was doing socially. I made so many terrible mistakes. With hindsight, that I realised at the time I didn't even realise they were mistakes. And they weren't really mistakes, I guess you could say. Here's a bit of vulnerability for you. Oh, can you see that? The path. See where the tree comes out, that the path's nearly eroded there. I might fall down there. Oh, vulnerable. Oh shit, I nearly fell. Oh dear me. That's a good lesson there, I learned that later on in life. If you're falling, yeah, if you're feeling like you're about to fall over, you just got to relax the foot that's off the ground. Yeah, if one of the feet's going to be on the ground, the other one's going to be off the ground. You just got to relax it, and it'll just drop into the place where you're naturally falling, thereby rescuing yourself. Great little move. So anyway, I made all these mistakes, and as a result, I was bullied, progressively so as school went by. The accumulation of idiocy, I guess you could say, on my part, or at least social idiocy. Not blaming myself as such, because how else was how was I supposed to learn these things? You know, I guess either they come naturally quite quickly, or it takes time to develop them. I'm much more comfortable now. I've been up here. Check this out. It's barring my path. Got to go underneath. Oh. This is a strange path. Hey, I think I found a cool place. I might stop here. So yeah, as school went by, I became more and more bullied, in fact. Yeah, I spent a lot of time upset. The bullying was both psychological and physical. A few people helped me. I remember one of my teachers helped me one time, and he said to me, "It's not important what other people think about you. It's only important what you think about you," or something along those lines. I'm probably misquoting him. At the time, I didn't know that, and it was of great help. It didn't solve the problem, but it helped. I need to keep moving. So, that's school. What did I learn? I learned that some people are arseholes, basically. No, I didn't really want to be around arseholes. I was quite glad when I left school. It's just not like that in the real world, you know. What are they doing? They get a load of kids together who don't know how to behave, all of the same age, all competing with one another, trying to one-up each other. It's a perfect environment for negativity, really. It's not natural. I like natural things, as you know. It's not natural. You don't get that many kids of the same age in nature. There'll be of various ages. Natural hierarchies will appear. There won't be a competition, a struggle between people constantly because they're at the same proximate level. So yeah, this is why this is difficult for me, because I don't know how to tell these stories, and I don't know how to explain what I learned that much. Let's move on. Probably the next time that I felt really bad was at university, but this was not because of explicitly being bullied or picked on. This is just simple. I need to find some sort of love in my life from a female. And I guess you could say that from school, that's a sort of hangover from school, in the sense that if I wasn't so socially idiotic at school, then it may have been possible to get that out of the way at the right time, you know, when you go into puberty. But as it was, it lingered for quite a long time. That was the next time I felt vulnerable. I felt bad. I felt lonely, even though there were lots of people around me and I was quite friendly with quite a few different people. I still felt lonely because of that. This path is getting really difficult to traverse now. I'm going to keep going. It's a metaphor. That's my path now. I've got to get through here. I'm going to go through backwards. Glad I'm wearing a hat. Ooh. Right, that was the hard bit, I think. Oh no, that's another hard bit. Holly is in my way. So anyway, this resolved itself because, well, I think maybe other people were feeling like that, unbeknownst to me, and I got myself a girlfriend. And then we split up, and I was upset about that, quite badly upset about that. What did I learn from that? don't think I learned anything from that, to be honest. I think I repeated that cycle a few times until it got really bad, and I got really upset. 3 years spent upset after I left the university. But to the rescue came a shamanic practitioner, for want of a better word, who taught me how to meditate dreaming whilst awake. And I used this to gain closure with this one person who I thought was gonna be the one. I don't know if there really is a one, and that's another thing I could open up about. Jesus, this way is difficult. I'm going for it. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. I've made an actual metaphor for this video and how difficult it is by creating impossible to navigate fucking brambles and paths, which is a bit of a pig, but it's doable. I'm gonna get through it. Here we go. Feel a bit vulnerable. Oh shit. Right, anyway. That's next stage done. Oh, my scarf's caught. Bastard. Oh, I got it. Right. Where was I? Yeah, so, and this sorted me out in 2 weeks. It was amazing. It was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Dreaming whilst awake and using that tool as a way of dealing with emotions. So, moving on. I guess the next time was, you know what, I didn't feel that bad about this one, but it was, I think, a bad time, especially for my wife. Just had my first child. I didn't have it, she had it. And I got the sack. You know why I got the sack? I'm standing up for myself. Which I hadn't done prior to the baby, because it's like, you know, maybe I had low self-esteem, maybe having that life come into the world was a kick at my arse. You know, that I needed to be better and not take shit from people. So anyway, stood up for myself, got the sack. That taught me something. Don't want to work with arseholes. Actually, it wasn't arseholes, it was just one arsehole that ran the company. I don't want to work for an arsehole. Arseholes, co-worker arseholes, yeah, they're okay as long as there's not too many. Owner of company arsehole, nope, I'm not helping you. Why should I help you if you're an arsehole? Fuck you. And just moving on once again, expectations of marriage. This is now quite close to the present moment. My wife and I decided to not label ourselves as married because we didn't like the magical significance. We found out that we didn't like the magical significance of it in a bond sense. So it's bonding you to someone for life. Now I think you shouldn't feel obligated to be bonded to someone for life. And if you're going to be with someone for life, it should be because you want to be with them, not because you feel obligated. And she felt the same too. So, you know, and I guess that led to some sort of feelings of vulnerability on both our sides. But we've redesignated ourselves as soulmates. What difference does that make? We've also sort of redefined what it is that we see from that relationship. You know, we've actually written down a list of things. So I just want to sum up now, and I know this is going to be quite a long one, but that's probably because it's quite difficult for me to actually get stuff out on this. So I don't really apologise for this being long. I want to go under this next obstacle first. That's my path. You see that big tree there? That I've got to go underneath or over it, I don't know. Let's see which is the easiest. Get out! I went for underneath. underneath. Underneath is the way, if you don't want to get your bollocks strapped. Yes. So summary. Summary is, why is it always people that give you these sort of negative experience? Or why is it, why? I mean, you know, what seems to be about people and social and relationships that seem to give you these types of experiences? Or it seems to have given me these types of experiences. You know, Andy's example of, you know, his assignment work and how he felt about that. Obviously that wasn't really a people thing, but I guess all these things I've exampled are things that have been people things. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not a natural people person, maybe. Is anyone? Summary. It's people for me. I need to be around good people, or just not around people, full stop. I do need to be around people though. I went through another period in my life where I was lonely, and it was because I didn't have enough people around, basically. Didn't have enough friends. I guess that's another thing about me now. I don't feel like I do have enough friends. I mean, I know people like me, but I just don't quite feel as connected as I'd like to be to them. But I am doing something about that. So anyway, in summary, I think there's two things going on. One is a lack of conscious awareness on my part had led me into exposing myself, putting myself in a position where, you know, which has caused other people to make, who are not conscious either, who has caused other non-conscious people to make life hard for me and make my sort of emotional state go down. It's not all on me. I mean, I would say half of it's on me and the other half is on them. I mean, it's difficult to be happy when there's people all around you, no matter how conscious you are, putting you down. But of course, it's unlikely that you'll surround yourself with people who are putting you down if you're very conscious. So I think it does all boil down to me, really. But how can young children, for example, be expected to obtain that level of consciousness where they can protect themselves? I feel like, obviously, in some senses, these things, you need to go through these things, but I think the faster you can get through them, the better. And I don't see any reason why we can't help people get through these things. We can't have a perfect world where everyone's nice to each other. Well, we can, but it's just unlikely. So don't wait for it to happen, basically, because you'll probably die of old age. So because of that, I guess we need to be able to help people through difficult times, and ourselves. And those two things go hand in hand, like with the advice my teacher gave me. Meditation has helped me a lot, because it builds consciousness. And here I am, out in the open, at the end. It's a metaphor. It's symbolic. The plane. I've reached the end of the difficult to tread path. You can't even see it, probably. It's like it's not there. And I've reached the open at the top of the hill. Nearly. So, I'm sorry this is long. I'm not really sorry, because it is difficult. You just have to accept that it's difficult, and I think a lot of people are going to find this difficult too. So I don't really apologise. But I think there's a lot more interesting things in this topic that I haven't said, and who maybe it's worthy of further investigation. Thanks for giving me a reason for going through it, Andy.